up, everybody? Well, I got another Asus Ally X and Xeon Extreme gameplay video for you guys today. And today, we're going to attempt to play Liminal City. I tried it on the Steam Decks, but it was a total shit show. To the point where I walked around for like 3 or 4 minutes total, said, nope, this is pretty much a fail, and ended the video. Didn't even bother with camera recorded gameplay or any of that. But these should be, I'm hoping, powerful enough to maybe do 720p low and stay just barely above 30. Or maybe in the 40s or 50s, that would be great, because they are a little more powerful than the Steam Deck. But I'm willing to bet if we do 1080p first, it's probably going to be similar, like 15, 22 FPS, something like that. That's what the Steam Deck was getting with its very high settings, which I thought were overzealous, but even very low doesn't really change too much. It took us from the teens into the mid-20s, so that might be playable for some, but for me, I was like, eh. So why don't we stop blabbing? Let's go see what these allies can do, shall we?
Alright, we're gonna try 1080p high, and it actually did an alright-ish job, considering how the Steam Deck did, but it still would probably drop well under 30 in certain stages, like once you get to the back rooms level. But still, it might be considered playable for some, so we'll get a little gameplay. And the game does not let me do 900p, so we'll have to do 720p, and then I figured I'd do my settings, see if I can't figure some way to give us at least 30 plus the whole time.
Hello?
So now, 720p low, which doesn't get us 60 the whole time, so that's why I decided to just do my settings. If this got us like 80 FPS like it's getting here, I would just left it alone and been like, okay, well, I'd say that's what I would run it at, but no. And plus, it does not look especially good. So, why don't we go ahead and hop in, check it out, and then we'll go do my settings right after.
Hello?
So here's what settings I'd run. I think it'd probably still drop under 30 in some spots, but it probably would have even on 720. So I figured, hey, might as well make it look as good as we can. Couldn't do 1080 at all, unless you wanted to do 1080 in all low, and then it still barely went over 30. So I was like, nope, that makes the whole point of 1080p kind of pointless in my opinion, so instead I did 720 in this. I would have done 900 if I could, but the game won't let me. So, now let's get into the game. Now we're going to do the same thing on the X. Now, just because this is somewhat playable here, does not mean it will be later. There's certain levels that are just way harder to run. I figured they'd all be pretty similar, but no. There's definitely some that are way harder to run. And they don't even look like they should be, but they are. And that's just the ones I found. Who knows what's to behold later. But anyway, it still might be playable for some, so I still wanted to get some gameplay before moving on. So let's hop on in. So, now we're going to do 720p low, which still can't quite get us 60 plus the whole time. So after this, I'll try my settings, since it won't let me do 900, and medium and all that. But with that said, it is now time to get back into that game. I mean, we're already in it, but you know what I mean. So I just copied the exact settings as we did on the other one because I wanted to keep it the same. Now, it does decent in most places, but I feel like there's going to be some that are going to still give you subpar performance, like under 30. But still, I haven't even been through every single level, so I don't know if it could even go into the teens possibly later. But all I can say is it seemed pretty playable for where I went. But anyway, let's get into the game.
Alright, let's get some cam recorded gameplay. And we get to test out my new mic. First, real video. I'm not gonna lie, I would not do that. Would any of you guys just start shouting in a weird place like this? Last thing I would want is like for monsters or crazy people to hear me. I wouldn't even like hearing us having my feet make this much noise. Although I walk way quieter than that. But yeah, this thing kicks the Steam Deck's butt. Even at 1080p high, we were able to get higher FPS than the Steam Deck was able to get at 720p low. But Unreal Engine 5 game, not too surprising. Unless people put lots of work and effort into it, it's really hard to make a game like that run on the Steam Deck. But there are some that work just fine. Our Graders is playable on it. So if you put in the work, it's absolutely possible. But most of the little guys like this don't put in as much work into that. They gotta put a lot. That's why they don't do it, probably. It'd be just as much work as trying to get it to work on a cell phone. Even though I always say I'd like it to be on everything. When you're a little guy like this, you can't afford to put games on everything, I don't think. Not unless it's successful. Then you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. People on blank like it. Let's start putting it on blank. You know? This would be creepy as fuck, though. I would not like this. I don't like the city at all, let alone an empty one. And I kind of wish you'd have, like, full screen. Maybe there was an option I didn't see, but I feel like a lot of people would play it like this anyway, so even if there is an option, I think it's better to play it the way it was intended. Because they're trying to make it look like an old videotape. And all VHS tapes are in 4:3, I'm pretty sure. Maybe they started making some widescreen, but when I was a kid, they were all 4:3. Hell, even a lot of DVDs were 4:3 at first. And then you had to look out for the widescreen version. And we did not have any widescreen TVs, so I remember a couple times I got one as a birthday gift or something, and then I had to deal with black bars on an already small, like, shit, what was it, like 20-inch TV or something like that. So that's why it's kind of fun to just enjoy, like, 77-inch OLEDs and shit. Not I got a little expendable cabinet, why the hell not? What is this? This is the main reason I came in here. Good lord! I'm not going in there. I will catch every single disease that exists, and then I'll catch some new ones for good measure. Alright, let's run back out to the I've run more often, but I do not like the freaking head bobble. There's probably an option for turning that off too, and I just didn't see it. I'm not a big head shaking person, even though it's more realistic. But at least now we're not getting like 10 FPS, so it's not like making me sick anymore. But when we were on the Steam Deck, yeah, that was not cool. I don't think I could play that for very long. Not without breaks. Well, we are on the road again. Although I guess we've been on the road the whole time, so that doesn't really make any sense. But that's okay. It doesn't have to. Well, at least there's birds living here, so it's not completely just silent. If it was just completely silent with just wind and me walking, that'd be like 10 times more creepy.
Still, though, they did a great job on the ambiance in this game. It is definitely creepy. But we can definitely get playable FPS. I would have liked 60, but since we couldn't do that with everything even on low, I figured, well, like always, let's try to mess with it. Well, not like always, but recently I've decided, since someone suggested it on the Lenovo, might as well try to work out some what I think will be playable settings. Now, not everyone's going to agree with me, obviously, but what does it hurt? And then even if they don't agree, they can use mine as a baseline and then tinker my settings to their liking. If the presets don't tickle their fancy. Almost sounds like they're whimpering dogs or something in the background too. I'm kind of curious. Is that just like a giant wall, like walling us in? I kind of wanted to get to like the edge. Let's just run over there real quick. And I think after I see what the heck this wall thing is, I think we'll head on over to the X. I think it's been enough time. Yeah, it looks like just a wall. Like just all of a sudden, wall. Yeah, you can't even go anywhere that way. But alright. I was just curious, so now we move on to the X. Well, alright, let's get ourselves a little camera recorded gameplay now. And I didn't even have to exit out of this one. I just kind of like, I noticed it did its little, I'm going to make a small window in the corner. I did the little, you know, trick to like make the window come up so I can close it. And then it came back. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. It didn't do that on the white one. In fact, it almost never does that. So I'll take it. But yeah, of course, just because my settings run well here does not mean it will in every level. There's plenty more levels than this. Or at least that's what it looked like. I don't know. I'm assuming they're not all just this. But it is called Liminal City. So it might just be different variations of cities. But I don't know how they could possibly make it go from 40, 50 FPS all the way down to under 30. But hey, who knows? Some games have managed to do just that. So I'm just throwing that out there. There's just a wall that way. Yeah, I think there's a wall at the end of that one too, but I'm just going to go down there because it almost looked like there was no wall at the end of this one. Hey, there's a bus stop. Can I just take a bus? Hmm. Who knows? There might just be an opening, so I better start looking out. that might be the way out. It might just be like a little doorway like that you can actually go in or something, and that's how you get to the next level. I have no idea. No, I see a wall up there, I'm pretty sure. Do I hear a little mistin getting into mischief? You best not be trying to get into my cupboards. She's been in this thing where she tries to go in my cupboards for whatever reason. There's literally nothing in there worth anything a cat would like, but at least that's what I think. Obviously, she thinks different. So as usual, instead of getting mad at her, I just redirect her attention somewhere else. But obviously I can't go and do that. Well, I'm making a video for you guys. So hopefully she will not get locked in one of the dang cupboards. But if I can't find her later, I guess that's the first place I'll look. If she's not in any of her usual spots. Anyway, though, I think that's probably more than good anyway. Why don't we go wrap on up?
Well, alright guys, that's a wrap for Liminal City on the Asus Ally X and Z1 Extreme, and seems like it did a great job compared to the Steam Deck. Steam Decks were unplayable. Game ran much better than the Steam Deck, and I would say definitely playable. I would have liked 60, but let's be honest, in a game where you're walking around or mildly jogging at best, it's not the most important thing. So since I couldn't even get that, I was like, alright, well let's just make it look as good as we can. I'd gone with 1080p, but nothing I did with that really got great FPS. I could get around 40 if I put everything on low, like 35 to maybe 40, but I was like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose of 1080p. So instead, why don't we go with 720? I would have gone with 900. It wouldn't let me. I went out and tried to change it. I tried to force it, and this game just, You get 720, 1080, 1440, and probably 4K. And if you have 8K, probably that too. But that's it. Doesn't seem to be any in-betweens. Anyway though, still more than playable, as far as I'm concerned. That is that for this video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, because I sure as hell enjoy making it for you guys. And until the next video, peace out, guys.